Hello guys and welcome to the FilmBox. It's been a while since I made a video, but honestly I feel like I start every video by saying that, so I apologize for the inconsistency. I don't do this full time, so I don't have much time to do it, but I just like to do this for fun, and anytime I come across something that I feel like you guys will enjoy, I definitely want to review it or give you some information on it. So today we're going to be talking about Dehancer. Dehancer is a program for video and photos. What it does is it gives you that film look, and I've had the video version for a pretty long time now. Well, a long time, a year for me, but I've had a chance to edit a lot of videos using that. Pretty much all my YouTube videos are edited with this program, as well as the reels that you see on Instagram. And I really enjoy it, especially for someone that doesn't know how to do color grading or have years of experience. This is a great way to kind of like get fast paced to that, because it has a lot of film simulations you can choose from, and then you can change a lot of things from there, and just make your work look how you want it to look. Now today we're not gonna be going over the video version because there's plenty of videos about that, and my friend Chris made a really cool video about it, so I'll link it below if you guys want to check out what that program can do. Today we're going to talk about the photo versions, which I don't see many videos about, and there's one I've been wanting to buy, but I wasn't too sure because I didn't see a lot of videos to convince me to want to get it. And just before I wanted to buy it, Dehancer actually reached out to me on an email, and they were like, hey, we'd like for you to review our program. And I was like, oh, okay. And the really special thing about them on their email that they told me about was that they really wanted me to give my full honest review on it, because they're looking to improve the program, so they're not asking me or paying me to say anything specific. And that's why I wanted to do a collaboration with them, because I know other companies that have reached out before, they want you only to say nice things about them, and I don't want to lie to you guys. I mean, I really want to be honest in as far as in this channel. So today I'm going to give you my full honest review about this program and see if it's something that you guys might like, or maybe you guys are going to skip on it. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and just jump right into it. You want to go ahead and just open whatever software you're going to be using, whether it's Photoshop or Lightroom. I personally like to use Photoshop. It's just easier for me to edit. So let's go ahead and open up the file. When you open up the file, you'll have the camera raw open up with Photoshop, at least, where you can make the adjustments before you start editing. So this is where you want to flatten out your image as much as you can, not too much but not too little. For example, this image right here doesn't really have much contrast to it, doesn't have a lot of punch to it, so I didn't have to do much than just bring down the highlights and then bring down the whites a little bit. I left the contrast the same, but sometimes you can bring that up to like -40, -60 to flatten out the image even more. So everything's good. I'm gonna go ahead and open it. I'm gonna duplicate my layer, and I'm gonna go ahead and go to Filter, Dehancer, and Dehancer Film plugin. This opens up the plugin, and then from here, this is where we're gonna start. So on the left, you have all your film profiles. You can choose from like Kodak, Fujifilm, and Cinestill, and other ones as well. There you can just choose whatever you like. It's a good starting out point, because you have either profiles one side or you have presets on the other side. On the presets, they're like, well, pretty much presets. It's a good starting point. You just gotta adjust, because sometimes they're a little bit too harsh. I personally like to start from scratch, so I start out with the profiles. We're gonna go ahead and click on Fujicolor Pro. That's the one I'm gonna use. And then we have all of our modules right here. Let me collapse them all because there's a bunch of them. This is what we're going to be using. And what we're going to do is deselect all of these, because what I'm going to do is deconstruct the photo. I actually already have it edited, and I did it this way so that it saves time, because I try to record and edit and it took like 20 minutes just for one edit, so I don't want to waste anybody's time. Let's just get to the point. So we're gonna go ahead and press preview. So right now it's previewing the profile. It looks pretty dull, so this is where you're gonna start in constructing it together. And what you want to do is you start with source, which is the simple stuff such as exposure, temperature compensation, tint, and then defringing the photo in case you need to do that. I don't have to really mess with much of that, so I did a little bit of temperature compensation here, and a little bit of tint as well, not a whole lot. And then we go to film developer. We're gonna click that one. Film developer, you can add your contrast to it as well. I did add a little bit of contrast there. This photo is gonna make like a little contrasty because we have the yellows and we have blues, so we want to make those two contrast each other, and we'll get to that. So everything looks good there. And then we're gonna go to film compression. You press on that. That pretty much tones down your highlights. I did it right here so that her face is not too like blown out. So we got that done right there. And you can just move these sliders. They all play a part, whether it's the white point or impact. That's how harsh you want things to be. So when you move it up and down, it'll show you right there the differences. So I'm just gonna put it where I had it. And then expand. Here I brought the black point up a little bit more. That gives even more contrast to it. Print. This is print paper profiles that you can choose from. That's where you print a negative. They each have a certain characteristic. I like to use the Kodak Endura glossy paper, but you can see how the other one's affected as well. So yeah, I'm just gonna stick to that one right now. And then you can just mess once again with exposure, tonal contrast, color density. Color density, usually I have it all the way up. In this case, I don't, because then it makes like her skin a little too like saturated as well, her lips. And if I want to do that, like, you got to remember this is a plugin, so you don't have to edit the photo perfectly on this plugin, because once you press OK, it's gonna take the photo back to Photoshop, and then you can do minor adjustments there. So we're just gonna leave it there, right there. It's fine. And then we have color head. This is where you can change the like the RGB colors here. So you got blue, green, red, things like that. If I toggle it on and off, you can see it made her skin a little bit more yellow, and I like it like that for now. And what we're gonna do is gonna go on more down here. So this is where it gets nice. This is where I think Dehancer really shines above all other programs that offer these things. For example, film grain. We know Photoshop and Lightroom has it. Lightroom has gives you more control of it, but this one like gives you even more control than Lightroom, because once you turn this on, you can choose the size of the grain, the amount of grain, and the resolution. So for example, I like to bring the resolution all the way down, and what that does is it makes the photo a little bit less sharp compared to when you put the resolution all the way up. So I like for it to not be too sharp, because that's kind of a film characteristic. You don't want everything to be clinically sharp. And then here you have shadow, midtones, and highlights. And what that does is you can limit how much noise you want in your shadows and your midtones and your highlights. I personally like to bring up the noise on my shadows and midtones, and then bring it down a little bit on the highlights. It just makes the photo look nicer, in my opinion. And then halation. Everybody knows what halation is. If you don't know, that's like the red glow that is around the highlights in film. It's a film characteristic that you see a lot, like especially on Cinestill 800T. Here, like you can see, I added it, and it gave like a red glow around her face. Source limiter. This plays an important part, because then you can choose how much you want. The more you add to the slider, the less the effect is gonna be on the surrounding area of the glow. I personally like to keep it low sometimes, but this image particularly doesn't have a lot of halation, because there's not a bunch of like contrasty parts between like darks and bright. So you only get to really see it more in the eye. And just to kind of show you, I'm gonna like go right here in local diffusion. That's where the halation is taking effect. So obviously this looks really bad, so bring that all the way back down a little bit more, and we're good. And then the next one will be bloom. So bloom is like putting a Pro Mist filter in front of your lens. If you don't have one with you, you don't have to worry with Dehancer. It does a really good job as adding that bloom to your highlights. So if you turn that on, you're gonna see the bloom around her hands, because it's pretty bright compared to the background. I like to bring that down. So like I said, your source limiter, the more you go up, the less you're gonna have of that. Bring the highlights a little bit down. amplify, bring that down a little too. I just don't want like too much bloom. It should, like I said, everything should be subtle. You know, if you use halation, grain, and bloom subtle, it's gonna look a lot nicer than when you go all out, and then it just looks really like fake, honestly. So there you go. Those are all it. The vignette, if you want to add that to it, I'll add a little bit, so that looks good right there. I just go ahead and press OK, and it brings me back to Photoshop. Here, after that, you can just make more adjustments or continue editing the photo however you like. I personally like to go ahead and like create another layer, and then I go here to selective color. And if there's other things I want to do, such as like fixing the skin tones a little bit more, I can do so, because sometimes they come out a little bit too red or yellow. In this case, I actually don't mind it because it contrasts very good with the blue background. I do want to change the blue background a little bit more towards the cyan color, so you can make it a little bit more like teal. You see that right there? That looks really good. I'll go ahead and show you guys some before and after images that I did with the plugin, so you guys can see how it works in different scenarios. Also, this plugin does have an app that you can download on your phone. So if you're somebody that likes to take photos on your iPhone, and let's say you just want to edit something real quick and upload it to Instagram, you can do so. It also edits video, so you get the best of both worlds, photo and video editing in one app. I also have a discount code which I'll be leaving in the comments below, so that you can use it and save you some money. On the same time, we do get a small portion of those earnings that will allow us to support this channel. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.